The town of St. Nazian is believed to be one of the most haunted places in Wisconsin. It was founded by a rogue priest who, upon his death, is believed to have cursed the town he built. Welcome to the third season of The Veil. We are the Phantom Pals, Nick and Leah. We are back.
Hey,
Hi,
hi.
hi, and we are back and ready to explore the paranormal and all things creepy. So, what do you say we dive in, Leah?
Yeah, I really want to talk about this little trip that we took last summer.
Okay, so last summer we took a trip to St. Nazian. Before we started the team, I had heard of St. Nazian and um, this energy in this town, supposedly, um, that this priest, Father Ambrose Ochswald, a Roman Catholic priest, started. So the town of St. Nazian, or actually village, it's a small village in Manitowoc County. The village was founded in 1854 as a religious colony by a group of German immigrants. Oh, yeah,
Which is not uncommon
not
for
uncommon around
Wisconsin.
here.
No.
No, I mean, I'm in Sheboygan and we have bratwurst days, and yeah, so we're known for our brats. But he was a Catholic priest, and the village was incorporated in 1956. St. Nazian currently has a population of 711 from a 2020 census. So let's talk about the founding of this place. Um, the year is May 1954, and Father Ambrose Ochswald and his flock of 113 from the district of, and I am going to butcher this, I know this, but
Like
Baden,
Baden-Württemberg.
Baden, Wittenberg, not Witten, Berg,
Wittenberg,
yeah,
Germany.
Germany. Um, they're in France at the time, starting their trip to America. In history, one source in history has it saying that this is due to restrictions against the Catholic faith by Otto von Bismarck. We'll get into that a little more, though, I think. So last year, like I said, we took a trip to this church, and in this church, there's actually a thrift shop, or not
Well,
in the
that was the
church.
store, or
That
like
was the
that was the
store.
school.
The
Yeah,
church is
St. Joseph.
condemned now. The church is
Can't get into
unstable,
his.
and you can't get into it. And then there's also an area that was a school and um, a convent. There's also a building that was a
Right,
convent too.
right.
So, um, and of course, if you were following our Facebook page, you would have seen this past summer. So, I think we should start with the man himself.
And we should say that we did not really walk around the town because we happened to choose a really heavy rainy day.
Yeah,
So it
and
pretty much stormed on us.
I mean, we really didn't find downtown very much.
Was there even a downtown really
It
to
was
look
it was
at?
very country. It
Yeah,
wasn't very rural. It was very more spread out.
a lot of
So
tractor shops though. So if you're looking for a tractor,
yeah, yeah. Um, while I'm thinking of it, I did pull up the real estate report. Just curious, like what the cost of living is there and what it takes to buy a house. And I didn't get St. Nazian exactly. I ended up getting like Kakana and oh, here's one in St. Nazian. A 3-bedroom, 2 bath, about 262,635 square foot is about 319,000.
I'm thinking acreage. Maybe it has a lot of
Yeah,
acreage.
yeah. Well, it doesn't show much acreage there, but that's the only place that's for sale in St. Nazian that I'm showing.
Well, I'm not thinking a lot of people are flocking to. I think they're kind of
Right.
flocking out.
I don't think so.
Because we had the cool sign of Saint Nazian, but after that, it was kind of like, so where is
Yeah,
that?
like 711 people is not a lot for a place.
No, and there's just
Uh,
not a lot there.
so I would assume it's everybody knows everybody.
Right.
Small business.
Mm-hmm. And farming, tractor supply shops.
Yep.
Um,
Um,
but the school itself, Saint Joseph's School itself, is I believe closed down,
yes, it
except
is.
for the back of it,
Yes, and there was like a gymnasium in there almost.
like the
And
old
then
gym.
yeah, and then there was a thrift shop in there, and we did walk around there. It didn't feel creepy to me. I don't know. Did it feel creepy to you?
No,
No. So
just looked like a dying thrift store because they have the
yeah,
thrift store spread out through the gym.
it was
Just
yeah, it
not a
was
whole
over
lot
the
there.
basement, and then I did take a walk up the steps. There was like a stage with instruments. So I'm assuming the private group that bought it um, maybe holds a service there.
Okay.
Not sure. I didn't see anything that they do.
Or
So
maybe like a worship event or,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. So let's talk about Father Ambrose Ochswald. We're just gonna call him Father
Father
Ambrose.
Ambrose.
Yeah, I don't want to say all that out every time. So I think we should start with him. So Father Ambrose was born on March 14th, 1801 in Muddle Finge Fustenberg.
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 Yes, and that is
Mudelfinge,
now,
Fustenberg.
and that was the name of it then. Now, present day, it is Baden Wart Wart
Württemberg.
Wartenberg, Germany. Didn't take German, so this is going to be a little challenging.
But I'm the German of the group, so
So I looked this up, and um, Fustenberg was a country from 1250 to 1806. So it was not part of Germany at one point at that time. It eventually became part of Germany.
so not long after he was
Yeah,
born. So he was
right.
born towards the end of it being an actual country of itself.
So looked into some of his information on his childhood, and there really was not much to find. So this is going to take us to about 1833 when he was ordained as a priest
At about
in
32 years old.
yeah,
That's
about
kind
32
of
years
old
old.
to, isn't it kind of old to be ordained at that time?
Yeah.
Like, weren't
Um
they younger?
and
Kind of wonder
this,
what he was doing before then.
I don't know. There wasn't really much on there, and I found a article from UW Wisconsin. I think it was the Milwaukee district, one of the Milwaukee schools there. They did not have much on him in his when I did any kind of search for him, even on his childhood. So it's kind of a mystery. So I'll continue looking and maybe we'll have a follow up. Uh, so he studied at the University of Freiburg.
Diocese of Freiburg.
Yeah. And now I stated that earlier in the intro that he left due to growing restrictions. Now I want to expand a little bit deeper on that, but and this is kind of interesting for a Catholic priest. Now, some of the claims come, I think it's a little problematic for the church. Are claims that Oswald studied healing from properties of plants and herbs, and doctors also called him a quack. In addition, he had also an attraction to mysticism and claimed that he had been blessed with a gift of healing. So he wasn't popular among some of the higher ups in the Catholic faith there.
Which we know now that a lot of the even doctors that believed in herbs and natural remedies were kind of laughed at that point.
Right.
And now here we are in 2025, and people are like going to that
Right.
and
But
looking for herbs versus
but
medicine.
but at that time,
Right.
that wasn't really accepted in the Catholic Church or any religion.
But if you
Other
think about like how times changed, we like flipped so crazily.
so can, d- mysticism is a belief, indirect and direct experience of an ultimate reality, spiritual truth of the divine achieved through intellect or rational deduction. Now, a second definition from Britannica is the practice of religious ecstasies, basically religious experiences during alternate states of consciousness,
Yeah,
together
ecstasies.
with whatever ideologies, ethics, rites, and myths, legends, and magic related to them. So you could see where this might be problematic for the Catholic Church in, oh my gosh, 1833 to 1854, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's interesting because it says from like Britannica, it says it's the practice of religious ecstasy. So a religious experience during alternate states of consciousness. So stating sleeping is an alternate state of consciousness and having an experience during sleep. Now,
which
if that were to be true, or if that something like that happened, doesn't that state that in the Bible that that's happened, where somebody would appear to them in a dream?
yeah, so I don't know
So
why
why
it was,
would they be against that?
I don't know, but the way he did things, so there was a time of the German revolutions. So
Mhm.
as for Father Ambrose, there was plenty more to cover. There's plenty more to cover, but we're going to talk about this German revolutions of 1848 to 1849, also referred to as the March Revolution. I That's 1 month. This is about a year. I don't know why
Mhm.
it's referred to that, but around that time is when it is thought the restrictions were tightened. And as we go further into Father Ambrose, we'll see there's good reason for that, maybe. Um, some of the things he believed in, I don't think should have been problematic, but some of the things he did are, he may have crossed some lines. So as we get into that, I hope you agree with me. um,
Maybe.
this is when Ochswald, or Father Ambrose, started making plans to take his parish to America to escape his restrictions. So in 1954, 113 of his parish and himself would sail to the on the feast of Corpus Christi on two ships from France. It took about 55 days by the time they would make it to Milwaukee, with several members not making it.
Which would
Um,
make sense.
it was,
I
I
mean,
mean,
shifts.
yeah. So,
Oh, and I wanted to run back a little bit because you were saying the March Revolution.
yes.
I was curious as if that meant religious revolution or revolution of the country. And so the March Revolution in Germany was actually inspired by the French February Revolution, where there was protesters and doing uprisings across the German Confederation
Okay.
for unity, constitutional rights, freedom of the press, things like that. So it wasn't just to make sure that our audience knows it wasn't a religious
Okay.
movement, but a movement across Germany for rights and things like that that was taken right after France did it. So
So
it
when
started in March.
so France started the pattern,
Right. They
and
did it in
hey,
February. Germany's like, hey, cool, let's try that. And then they
well,
started in
we
March.
Germany's like, hey, we deserve this too. Fight,
Right.
fight, right? So at this time, Oshwald bought a 3,840 acre plot of land in Manitowoc County for 350 an acre. And this would be the future site of St. Nazian. And I'm pretty sure that has probably grown since then a little bit, maybe.
Sure.
But I mean, so he purchase this plot. So in August of 1854, 6 men were sent ahead to find the land that was bought. On August 27th, they arrived and named the site. Wait for it. You ready? St. Nazian.
So it hasn't changed.
No.
Okay.
Now, this is for the St. George St. Nazian, or St. Gregory Nazianus.
Okay.
Um,
So like
and
in a
so they named the place after a saint.
St. Gregory Nazianz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too shortly after, on September 1st of 1854, that's when Father Ambrose would arrive.
Okay.
Okay. The
And he
rest
brought the
of
rest
their with
parish,
the rest
right?
the rest that survived.
Okay, so
So the rest of the survivors
6
from
went ahead and then he came with
Yep.
survivors.
So that
Got it.
6 went ahead, found the land, and started working it. And then the rest of the people came, and then they all
Okay.
worked together. And they would start clearing land and start building log houses. And by October 21, about 2.5 months, they had a church completed where Oswald would deliver his first mass.
Really? So
yeah.
they went pretty fast.
Yeah, they didn't take their time. They had a mission, and that's what they were doing. In the start, they would be known as the Association. This was because of their agreement to live like the first Christians depicted in the Acts of the Apostles. You may be like, okay, what is that?
It sounds cultish.
What do you mean by that?
It sounds cultish. The Association?
Yes. So does that... Yeah.
Where did you grow up? I grew up with the Association. Ooh.
Yeah. Pretty much. So now the best way to put this, it's like a utopia where you share everything in common and you work at no pay. Oh gosh, I can't remember how many years ago Fox had this show called Utopia.
Yes.
Where how many people was it? Like 10, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And they had one big central building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they shared everything and they worked together and they decided how their little compound was going to work.
Right.
And it was like a competition show. I think it was might have been a little bit after COVID, but
I thought it was before COVID. I think it was even further back.
Right. And I mean, it lasted for about maybe 10 weeks and then they canceled it. But, so it took a few years before they started thriving in the community. And there were many trades represented in this utopia. Now, this utopia lasted probably a lot longer than a lot of other ones, but as we know, they don't really last. There was blacksmith trade, carpentry, masonry, shoemaking, woodwork, and then medical. And this was Father Ambrose led this because he studied at the University of Munich and studied like medical practices and healing practices. So he was also their doctor. Now, we're going to dig a little bit into Ochswald here, or Father Ambrose. Now, before I did mention the restrictions that were being put on him and how he thought it was unfair. So, as I said, he claimed to be a healer. So in 1843, not 19. Man, he took a long time to get the
right
in the future there. Maybe that's another life of his. He claimed to be a healer. So in 1843, Father Ambrose openly claimed he healed 3,160 people with the power he was given from God.
I'd be interested in knowing what he meant by healed. Healed in what way?
Right. So
Like healed
he
from illness, healed from deformity? What is he claiming he healed? Because he could have healed people with herbal remedies because that's what he was into, and they could have recovered from their illness by aid of these herbal remedies. However,
right.
he took it as he healed it with the power of God and not
Hmm.
with the fact that, we found some tree bark and it's penicillin. In, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. So this did not sit with doctors, and this prompted the doctors in that town to demand civil and church investigations. Now, he was not found to have done anything wrong, but you would think after that, one might tone it down a little bit.
no.
No, no, no,
If
no.
if you have that kind of belief and you really think you're like that all powerful, you're not going to tone it down.
But if you now the church and their civil investigations, and you were found of no wrongdoing,
Right.
now the attention's on you, right? Well, that didn't deter him in any way. So, um, the next thing we're going to talk about is his obsession with mysticism. He claimed to have a special connection to God where he could interpret dreams and also see the future. So, seeing the future is an interesting topic to consider. Um, Religious groups and people all over say they've had dreams of visions and stuff, even in the Bible
Right.
that's in there.
Right.
So,
But it's
um,
kind of like the Salem witch trials. If they did anything that we would look today and see as normal, they were a witch. But now we look back at it and go, there was nothing wrong with that. There's
right,
nothing wrong with being able to feel like you can interpret a dream. In fact, all you have to do is go to Google and be like, hey, I dreamt about this. And you'll get like multiple interpretations of what that could
right.
mean.
But I mean, even then, there were prophets that got dreams back in the
Right.
biblical times, and they had a title. So I don't know why this was problematic, but of course, we don't have the full picture. I don't know what he was. You don't know what he was saying. He saw. So now this leads me to 1849. Father Ambrose decides to write a book. And
Wow.
I'm going to have you try to pronounce that name.
Mystique Schifrin.
Okay.
Schifrin. Yeah.
That
Schifrin.
that means mystical writings. This was not well received by the church. I think that that one is kind of common sense. That's not going to be received very well.
What
In
did
the
he put
book,
in that book that was a big deal?
well, okay. Glad you asked because he made some very bold predictions.
Okay.
One prediction was the second coming of Christ would happen in 1900 and that a new Jerusalem would be created in southeast Germany. How did that one work out?
Well, we are well past the 1900s, and I don't believe I read anything about a second coming of Christ. I believe we're still waiting on that.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian and that's what you believe, Christians are still waiting on that second coming. So it didn't happen that I know of for the Christian faith.
To add to it, though, he also predicted there would be 1,000 years of peace with the second coming.
Right.
Well, um, I mean, he could be right on the thousand years of peace with the second coming. It just didn't happen in 1900.
Well, of course, it's going to be 1,000 years of peace with the second coming because when the second coming happens, all will be judged if, again, you believe in the Bible
Mhm.
and Christian
Yeah.
teachings. So the fact that he even predicted that is kind of saying, hey, I read the Bible and I'm just like putting my words into it.
So I don't know if it was an attention thing
Right.
or yeah. So with this, it looked like the church had a priest that was a little bit out of control.
Sure.
Maybe a lot out of control. So they asked if he would just promise not to publish any more books. And being confronted with it, of course, he agreed to the request.
Okay.
But shocker, are you ready?
Okay.
Within he published one again within the year.
So it was kind of like a okay, I won't publish any
Okay,
books.
okay,
Yeah.
slap me on the hand.
Yeah. In the
Yeah,
meantime, I'm gonna head back
sorry.
home now and
Start
continue
writing.
writing the book I'm working on.
Yeah, I gotta go start writing again. So I don't have the name of that book, but um, this was not the end. Also, after that, this was not the end of his activities by Father Ambrose. That would catch the eye of the Catholic churches and the archbishops and I don't know what other titles there are. I don't think it got all the way up to the Pope, but so in 1850, he founded Der.
This one's a little bit harder. It's like Jergisline Magnistisch Vereen.
Yeah, it's a very long
Yeah.
name, and so I'm gonna put the sign entering Saint Nazian as well up there for us, so you can see kind of that. But this was actually for those that need English, like me and you, and everybody listening probably. The Magnetic Society. The Archbishop found this very problematic. For fear this could evolve into a cult.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, look what they did when they moved here to America.
Right. Right.
So I think
Yeah.
their founding, their fears were probably pretty much right. He would compose a letter to each diocese and warn them of the ideas of Ambrose. Ambrose was relieved of his
So
parish.
the Archbishop composed the letter.
Yeah. And he was relieved of his parish and limits placed on his duties. So this whole unfair restrictions, there was some creepiness there to it.
So he was getting restrictions because he was writing books.
He wasn't responsible for his actions.
Right. He was writing books that may not have aligned with the Catholic beliefs, as well as then try to start this this community, the society, the Magnetic Society.
Yeah.
Which I'm still trying to think of the name. It's like I think it's more of Geisling.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. I just don't know how you pronounce the German letters, so it's kind of
the first two are easy. Der Geisling. That
yeah.
M word, Magnistisch.
So that would be magnetic.
Yeah. So the Magnetic Society. What I wonder what he meant by that though. He's trying to start this society, but for what? Just for the
as I talk
section of it?
why don't you do a Google search quick here? I'll go a little further in. Okay. See if you can find anything on history of that could be read out. So now this, as you can imagine, this was around the time Ochswald was looking to coming to America because of the limits put on him. He was not thrilled. So his answer to this, it took a while because we know 1854 is when they leave, right? So that's a 4-year gap. So in 1852, Father Ambrose vanishes to Munich and begins studying medicine, a plan that was made for some time. 2 years later, he returns to Baden, and at this time informed the archdiocese that he is giving up priesthood for medicine. Right after this, he requests permission to immigrate from civil and religious authorities. He was granted permission, and his papers listed him as a former priest. So he came back in 1854, and this is when he requested it. Now, this brings up so many questions for me. Like, first of all, how does he have a parish in Wisconsin when he left the priesthood then? He's not a Catholic priest anymore. He
So
quit.
he left, he quit.
He quit.
Okay.
And then what is going on with his society? Because his parish followed the people that used to be his, or the people that followed him go with him. I mean, how do you go somewhere and then act as a priest again, or a Catholic priest again after you've given up your spot?
Right.
Isn't that
Well,
kind of
maybe he gave it up in Germany, but really never meant to.
no? He told the archdiocese, is what I read, that
Oh,
was he's done, and his immigration papers state former priest.
and then he decided to start again.
I've never found anything that um he came back to it though and restarted and got reconfirmed as one or anything. So
Do you
now
need to, do you need to restate?
I don't know how the Catholic Church works.
Right.
So, but I mean, that's not done in America, I don't think. That's a Catholic faith is a whole big thing. That's the Vatican, isn't it?
Right.
So, like, I don't know. So, another question for you, what's your opinion of the restrictions put on Oswald? Do you think they were right? Do you see any basis for their restrictions and concern? And would
At
it
that
be that you?
time, I get it. At that time, I do believe that I can see why they wanted to put the restrictions on him. And if he was told by higher up, like I said, I don't necessarily know the rankings of the Catholic Church, but if he was told by um, his superiors to stop and he continued, I can see why they would place stuff like that on him.
Right. Okay. So now the trip to America. Or did you find anything on the Magnetic Society or
No, I'm
no?
thinking it's just something that really never happened though either because
Okay. Wait, maybe not documented.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's go to their trip to America. With permission to leave to go to America, Father Ambrose, or now Ambrose Ochswald, he's no longer father, according to that at that time, and his followers head to France to board two ships to begin a 5-week journey to New York en route to Milwaukee. The land that is now St. Nazian was bought with the money they pooled together to start their new community. Now, of course, it took some time to function as a group, starting over, and in the initial years, there were some hardships. Now, as you know, Wisconsin, we have some severe weather. I mean, just look at the weather lately.
Right.
There were unexplained deaths, there were fires, and there was hunger.
Mhm.
All this contributed to a dissension and inability to pay the mortgage on the land. In steps an Ulrich Kunzwiller, a German man outside the community, and he helped pay the mortgage. Lucky for Oswald, the followers would not have, and then the followers don't lose their land. Him and the followers. Around so this goes from 1954 or 1854 to about 1860. So I mean, there's there is the growing pains, and at one
Mhm.
point they did need outside help to keep the land. So around 1860, St. Nazian started to grow, and Oswald adopted new ways the village would operate. So maybe this utopia wasn't working out so perfect. And, you know, so I'm going to go over some of these rules and I'm going to see what I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let's go one by one here.
Okay.
Any German speaking Catholic, single or married, or anyone wishing to become Catholic was eligible to join the community on the conditions they follow the principal rules, right?
Okay.
Members agreed to share work, money, food, live a life of humility, observe sacraments, educate the young, and above all, serve others, the infirm, poor, widows, and orphans. Good. I mean, that sounds like a utopia.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, sounds like a communal living. We've seen a lot of those in over the years. I'd call that a cult, but okay. Um, the following was not allowed and could lead to banishment. Now, a person was given 3 chances to reform. Okay, so he had a 3 strikes you're out rule, right?
Okay.
These 6 things: swearing,
I'm out.
quarreling, fighting, impurity, boorishness, and rudeness.
I was out at the first one.
Yeah.
I would do my 3 strikes in a day, probably in the first 4 hours.
Well, yeah. So,
Well, I would not have made it. Quarreling, fighting, depends on what kind of quarreling and fighting you're doing, in my viewpoint, because everybody fights. Everybody has little quarrels.
right.
So are you saying like
I'm
no
thinking
quarrels whatsoever? Or are you talking like
quarreling.
bashing each other's brains out? Like
I'm
which
thinking the
quarreling?
I'm thinking the fighting is the physical, and the quarreling is like the, um, like not agreeing to do something, or
Like or physical
disagreeing on an
fighting?
opinion or something like that.
Yeah. Unlawful
Uh,
conduct, I get. Impurity, yeah, sure.
yeah.
Boorishness?
Harshness. I
What is
what is, let's see.
now I'm gonna have to look that up. Boorishness?
I'm
Boorishness.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. I
Okay, you
have
got it.
state or quality of being rude, ill-mannered, insensitive, or unrefined.
And then
Grr.
there's and it said rudeness as well for in the article. So I mean, those two kind of go together.
They do, but I
So
guess if you're ill-mannered and insensitive or unrefined,
yeah.
you're like a bore, a rough or
Mm.
rustic person.
And I don't know about the impurity because, well, I guess, yeah, because it's a religious group, so
Right.
you're not going to really allow that.
You have to be a nice, kind person at heart.
It almost sounds like you got to like take what comes at you and not respond and just do as told.
Sure.
So I don't know. But now, so St. Nazian community never formed any or never formally joined any particular Catholic order. So though Ochswald embraced the principles of the Third Order of St. Francis, an official order open to both married and unmarried members, he also implemented the use of the Catholic brevity and rigorous schedule of prayers recited throughout the day. Daily life typically began early and ended late, with time in between devoted to a balance of work, meals, prayer, and evening resuscitation reciting of the rosary. but he never formally joined any Catholic order. So, and this is where I'm talking, he doesn't ever join an order. So, how did he get his priesthood back?
Maybe he never really did.
Right. So, and that's where I'm kind of thinking.
So as I read a little further into this, they had a very interesting setup because they lived in log houses.
Yeah.
And then the two convents that were constructed were for the unmarried. And the unmarried became known as brothers and sisters. So it's like a nunnery.
Yeah.
Very interesting because they had a hospital. They ended up having an orphanage and schools. And like the men were doing stuff like craftsmen, blacksmithing,
Mhm.
things like that, while the sisters made the hats and shoes and
Yeah.
cheeses, and stuff like that. And they were the teachers of the children.
So, gender roles almost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kind of how things worked in the early 1800s, especially in like Wisconsin as a whole. Like Old World Wisconsin shows that all the time.
Yeah. So now we're going to go to the 1870s. This was the height of the St. Nazian community. History says they had 200 members. There's a Father Alfred Schnubel, a researcher, and a century later listed a total of up to 350 members at various times in the 1870s. This didn't last very long because this is kind of close to the demise or the death of Father Ambrose, but
Mhm.
Father Ambrose did enjoy good relations with the Archbishop of Milwaukee
Okay.
and was still using his medical skills to be helpful at the same time departing from his mysticism path he was on. So he calmed down on the mysticism, and this Milwaukee archbishop was okay with him. So maybe he
Okay.
did learn something over the time. But now the colony struggles though. February 1873, Father Ambrose falls ill and passes away. Now, as you can imagine, this is a tough time for the community and comes as a shock. He is laid to rest in Ambrose Chapel and is later moved to the newer chapel. So the other the Ambrose Chapel was probably falling apart. I mean, buildings only lasted so long with the technology they had, and they probably had to rebuild. And let me pull up a picture of this. There's his. That would have been probably the tomb in. Just says in Saint Nazian, probably in one of the churches. So he wasn't in a crypt when he first got laid down.
Right. Because that doesn't look like what we saw.
No, it is not. That is in the side of a building, inside of a church.
So that was maybe his first location.
Yeah, the first or second location, either the Loretta Chapel or the Ambrose Chapel, because
Okay.
that's easy to move those crypts, and
Right.
you could move those and put them in another area, into another building. And his death would later change the communal society. The Catholic communal colony of St. Nazianz functioned efficiently for 19 years, from 1854 to Father Ambrose unexpected passing in 1873. But with his death, rumblings of dissatisfaction festered beneath the surface exploded into a whirlwind of accusations and disputes. Without the charismatic priest's dynamic leadership, the grand experiment would never be the same. That's kind of common though when you lose your founder, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, look at dictator countries sometimes.
Hmm.
You remove a dictator and the place goes into chaos. I mean, conditions weren't great under that dictator, maybe, but things were things weren't chaotic, you know.
Right.
Um, but then when they're gone, somebody's got to step up, and sometimes you get somebody worse and make the conditions worse, or you just get complete unrest and total anarchy.
Hmm.
So much of what they had between then, it just it wasn't the same. So on his with his death, he trying to find the name of the person that he got. His he had a right hand man.
Oh, Peter Mutz.
Yes, Peter Muntz, and he was not very popular. He was Father Ochswald designated Peter Muntz as his spiritual successor. He was originally a Lutheran.
Okay.
So, what is going on in this community? I mean, they're kind of close, but they're not. You know, they have some same practices. And he was living in the property. Mutz was living in poverty when Ochswald invited him to St. Nazian, where he fed and clothed him. Later, having studied for the priesthood, he was serving as the congregation, serving a congregation in Schling, Schlissingerville, now
Now
Slinger,
Slinger.
Slinger, Wisconsin. When Oswald died, a mild-mannered yet determined individual, Moots is often viewed as a weak leader, though. This is not. This is probably not the case. They probably just didn't like him, so they didn't want to follow him. They liked the way Father Ambrose did it, right? Change.
Well, because Father Ambrose also had another. He was more of like the manager of the community.
Yep.
He had Anton Stoll,
Yes, Anton Stoll.
and Anton Stoll was manager of a state.
Yep.
So now you have this manager who's been next to Oswald this whole time,
He was doing the day to day.
and now Peter Muntz is the new guy,
Mm-hmm.
and Muntz, to me, I don't think what he did was terrible. Like his suggestion of some changes were terrible, but
And yeah, we'll get
um,
into those.
yeah, Stoll did not like them, and that really started
So,
a back and forth.
so some of those were Moons wanted the colony to abandon the use of the brewery and
Breviary.
um, yeah, and a strict regimen of daily prayers and devotions around the day's schedule revolved. So
Yeah,
he wanted to
that's what a
stop a lot
breviary
of that.
is.
Yeah, he wanted to stop that.
Well,
Ashwell,
Oswald wanted it mainly because it kept a strict order.
right, and of course, Anton Stoll was outraged at this proposal. Um, and they actually had the material purchased and shipped from Germany at a great expense.
For the bribery, yeah.
Yeah. So Stoll was also concerned that the elimination of the frequent devotions would weaken the community's resolve and continue. I resolved to continue the ideals of Father Ambrose.
Right.
So Father Moons, and I don't know why, um, and the other, you know, argued that the practice was meant only for clergy, and that time spent for numerous reciting could be used for a better purpose.
Or for rest, or
Yeah,
I get both sides really.
you know, a power struggle ensued. Moons called Stroll a Weltman, which means a man of the world. and
Terribleness. You cannot be a man in the world and a man of God at the same time.
no,
Awful.
and Stoll compared his community under Munz's leadership as sheep without a shepherd. I'm not going to say the German version because no, I'm going to butcher that.
Ein Herde and hurt.
The issue was finally resolved by allowing each individual community member to choose. But does that really solve it? Because
It's like a vote.
yeah. In the meantime, the fabric of the community began to be torn, and life in St. Nazian would never be the same. So, by allowing the member to choose if they want to do
Bravery.
that, or just like what they did with Father Ambrose every time, like the same traditions,
Right.
or do they want to take this new tradition of not doing it? Kind of.
So leave it up to the people to decide.
Right. Leave it up to that person to decide if they're going to do it. I think it was kind of a way of tearing them apart. You had two different groups then.
And then I kind of wonder, why would it tear it apart? It's kind of like today in America with all the different religions. Hey,
Yeah.
I go to church on this day. Well, I go to church on this day. I celebrate this day. Well, I don't. So what?
Right.
It shouldn't tear it apart. I mean, okay, you want to do the bravery. I don't. So you do it. I won't. Why is that an issue?
Right. It shouldn't.
Right.
But as you know, even politics tears people and divides people.
I get that.
So at this time, you had people that followed Moons and you had people that followed Alton. And you had two different sects. So you have like two different groups of people. So like in politics, if you don't like a certain person, but somebody else does, now people will just like stop talking to you because they're like, well, I don't agree with your ideals.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. But this was a small issue compared to some of the other ones. The bigger issue was land ownership, incorporation of the colony, debt payment, collection of outstanding loans, and court challenges. So he passes, and as we know, someone's got to take over, right? Someone gets the estate. The colony was unable to look to the Milwaukee Archdiocese or any larger church in Rome for legal assistance because, and this was Father Ambrose lacked to see this, but they did not have any formal align with a specific Catholic order. This oversight was a very big deal with his death because where were they going to go for help? They had no higher. They had no higher up.
No.
So
that was his point.
I think this is where that statement, when he died, he cursed the colony. Because they were very unprepared. The community's first of many legal entanglements had to do with the ownership of the property, all land over 3,000 acres in Manitowoc County, additional land in Calumet County, and some property in Canada. So, and this property was held in Father Ambrose's name, though it had been purchased with funds from a common treasury. Heirs to the estate were Father Ambrose's brother and sister in St. Nazian, Martin and Margaritis Ochswald, and a brother-in-law in Germany, Raphael. The former readily signed waivers for the inheritance, and eventually Raphael did as well. However, before individuals could purchase land from the estate, the colony had needed to be incorporated. On July 27th, 1874, the incorporation documents were agreed upon by the 102 followers of Father Ambrose who had elected to continue their communal lifestyle. So they still continue to do it.
Sure.
In many ways, the agreement simply put in legal format the rules under which the colony had operated the past 20 years. But there were a few significant changes. A board of directors was elected, or a board of directors with elected officers would now become the chief governing body. With
Okay.
spiritual leader Father Muntz, the board, and he would be the board president as well. Only the board of directors could buy and sell land, make loans, accept new members, and expel members who failed to live up to the society rules. So if you failed to live up to the society rules, it sounds like it was a little bit more serious at that point. You were going in front of a board instead of just,
The
this
3
one guy.
strikes and you're out with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, but they also they also joined the Roman Catholic Religious Association of St. Nazian, the RCRA.
That's quite the mouthful.
So they finally had
Like a governing body.
governing body. Yes. But now I do want to go into Father Ambrose. The title of this was The Incorruptible Priest, which I don't know. I'm going to pull up his first picture. That was when he was first buried. So, a judge from Manitowoc visited Father Ambrose's body the day before the funeral and was startled by its lifelike appearance. He even cautioned against burial, insisting that Father Ambrose might not be truly dead. He looked so fresh. Because Ochswald's tomb was not yet complete, the coffin was placed for viewing in a crypt beneath the high altar of the old St. Ambrose Church on April 29th. Before transferring the body to its final resting place, the coffin was reopened for examination. Father Muntz, accompanied by the Ochswald sisters, observed that the body had not decayed or emitted no odor. Although Ochswald's eyes had sunken, his skin retained a natural tone, and his hair and fingernails continued to grow.
Which we know happens.
Yes. After washing his face, they noted the axe seemed to restore an even more lifelike experience or appearance. Now, I'm going to show you this. This is 63 days after after his death. No, that wasn't 63 days. This is still Ochswald was finally sealed in his coffin and entombed, and then decades later in 1926, this would be him.
So his skin stayed.
That was like 53 years in a
wow.
And it was open, and once more, it was moved to the mausoleum beneath Loretto Hill. And then in 1869, this Salvatore I can't say the word.
Do you lose your place? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm in 1896. The Salvational priest and brothers arrived at St. Nazian to carry on the work of Ochswald had begun, and the body was still resting in the museum at the foot of the hill, looking in the cemetery. So we're looking at, he was moved here. This was built, and he's in this mausoleum.
Yes.
But they looked into his coffin in 1926, and that's what he had looked like.
The picture that you had just previously?
Yeah. That was 53 years of... So you go from this 53 years later, that.
Which it should be just plain old skeleton at this
Yeah.
point.
So he I
And
don't
there was no chemicals or preservation used for his body.
it didn't say that. I don't know what the technology and what they would have done at that time was,
Really? Yeah, that's true.
because that necessarily wasn't known. Maybe.
That's crazy how he doesn't look
Yeah.
anything like he should after being in a coffin for, would you say, 50 some odd years?
Yep.
Wouldn't it have been awesome if you could just like take a peek now, like when we were up there, to be able to like open it and look at it?
Oh my gosh.
I'm
It
just
was.
really interested in seeing what it would look like now.
I am too.
Did it finally decay? Is it now actual
I
skeleton?
I don't know. That would be interesting though. Here's I'm gonna Okay, and this is actually walking up to the crypt. These
Yes,
are all the priests and that they've had over the time,
correct.
um, or staff, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's actually room there. There's still space for more. It went all the way back to the mid 1800s when I remember walking through there with you. So
Um,
I
so
don't know
one of
what.
the pictures we have as well is the school.
Yes, I can find that while we're in here. Um, all right, I got it right there. It also shows here, if you see the sign in that white sign, it says, "Ain't no ghost here except the Holy Ghost."
Right.
So you can tell the sediments of the community of Saint Nazian, they're not big fans of the the lore out there.
Right. They don't want the old school to be thought of as haunted. They
Right.
don't believe in that.
No, they don't believe that's the case. And um I don't know, I think Father Ambrose would see it different. He had some kind of out there views at the time.
Um, I wanted to talk about uh, hold on a sec. I wanted to talk about the school
Yeah.
there. I'm just trying to pull something up because I wanted to talk about why they felt like the school was haunted.
Okay.
So JFK Prep. So
Yes. That's what it was called. Okay.
yeah, I don't know why I kept calling it St. Joseph. It's JFK Prep. So I apologize for the weirdness. Okay, so the JFK Prep building is where that picture is of
Mm-hmm.
the Ain't No Ghost Here.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were also saying on the night of February 26th in 1873, as Ambrose was dying, there was mysterious pounding noises that were reported in residences throughout the town.
Okay.
It claimed that he left the land cursed, and his
Yep.
body again observed 3 occasions did not decay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which,
then, of course, the Salvation Seminary, now known as JFK Prep,
yes,
became
It did become JFK Prep in a school at some point, and then
Right.
so I mean they repurposed the building and reused it. No longer used anymore, but
Is it no longer used?
no, it's no longer used.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see inside there, though.
It would be. All right. So you see the front of the building. So there's it's debris. It's reclaimed by nature. It just it looks gross. So you can tell that it's not being used. It was once an all boys Catholic prep school. So that makes kind of sense, right?
Yeah. It operated from 1968 to 1982 was JFK Prep.
So it was actually called the Salvatorian Seminary and operated from 68 to 82. But what's been reported is like laughter of kids who roam the hallways, reports that there's a spirit of a former student that ended their life but could be heard through the building.
Okay.
Legend says that students performed vigils on the death anniversary of Father Ochswald, trying to get like contact with him. And of course the crypt, and we're talking about the crypt and we're talking about the school and we're talking about the churches. This is all like one campus.
Yes,
You
it's
turn
a very
into a
big
driveway
campus.
and it's like all like right there in a short distance. So his
You-
crypt is walking distance from the school. It's just like almost in the
right.
backyard.
And you have to walk. You have to drive in there pretty far to get to the or their like Salvation Army style store.
So the school again has reports of hauntings.
Here we go.
What?
There we go. That's a frontal view of it with the
Yeah,
trees.
there we go.
If
So
that
the
helps.
inside is off limits to the public, but you can visit the property. You can look around at the property and see what the church looks like now, like the old church, which is really sad because you can see the beautiful stained glass and like how it's broken down and holes in the stained glass and stuff. So it looks sad. And again, at the back of the prep school is a thrift store. So you can actually go
Yes.
in. You can't go in the school, but you can go in the gym and check out the thrift store.
So if you're at the thrift store, you'll see it. I'm going to bring up the dormitory, and the building to the side on the picture to the right is going to be is basically it's like it's connected to where there's a gym and everything. And I will pull that up in a second here. No. I just trying to. I did save it in there. Oh, right here. So that's the dormitory, and then to the right, when you're looking at your screen to your right, that there's also you can see like another structure that is kind of where the thrift shop is at. So that's further off of the road. When you're on the road, you're going to see this one. And then you continue going back and then you're going to get to this. And then the next building is kind of where the gymnasium is, where they have the thrift store.
So what they actually had in 1909 to 1962, when it was still the seminary, it actually included 4 years of high school and the first 2 years of college.
Okay.
So it was more known as a minor seminary.
Yes.
In 1962, the Salvoriantans opened a full 4-year college in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which is closer to my direction than yours. And those first 2 years of colleges at St. Nazianz and other cemeteries across the country were actually moved there.
Okay.
So then the seminary became a high school seminary. And then the early 1960s brought that seminary that no seminary seemed prepared for the serious decline in vocations.
So,
So generations born after World War II opened more careers, opportunities, the booming economy, I can't talk now today either,
you mean economy?
economy, and the world kind of was giving more to those born after World War II than what their parents did.
Right.
And so religious life and like the priesthood was really not the appeal anymore, which is why they really moved from seminary and turned it into a JFK prep, which was like a high
Right.
school academy for
And
young men.
and I'm search as I'm on this page, I see athletics, and this is kind of interesting. Athletics was not a major part of the student experience,
No.
but from 1971 to 1975, the school 1977, I mean, the school was home to the Wisconsin Hall of Fame high school basketball coach Marty Crow, hired to teach English, serve as a dorm counselor, and coach basketball. Crow also coached the nearby Manitowoc Chiefs, a semi-professional football team. So they had some interesting staff there. The buildings, the former school gymnasium, was restored in April 2006 by Jim and Linda Frausch of United Ministries. They acquired the property in 2008. Have been renovating the other buildings for use as a summer and winter camp for children. So it does still have a purpose.
Sure.
So
Um, and I don't know if you knew this. I remember reading about it and I wanted to quickly just look it up really quick because I forgot the details of it. But there was a fire when it was
yes.
the JFK prep school in 1975.
Okay.
It was April 9th, 1975. And it was like an undetermined origin, but it gutted the boys' dormitory. And there was 25 freshmen, sophomores at the school that were housed in the building, but like nobody was injured. Nobody died from it. But it did have a fire at one point, and it damaged living quarters. Um,
I
I would
also
think I'm not sure why. Honestly, this is just me talking as a paranormal investigator.
Mhm.
It's very often that we go to places that were once churches, Catholic or Lutheran schools and things like that. And I always kind of wonder what it would be that those would want to remain there. Because it was a seminary, it was a boys' academy. Nothing tragic happened. So what would it be that's still hanging out there?
I don't know, but this is I was just on Facebook for the JFK prep, and
Hmm.
this was the class of 1971. And interestingly enough, on um October 26th of 2026, there's going to be an, a pep reunion as well there, celebrating 50 years of the class of 76. So this is the class of 76, my bad.
Should we just like crash the reunion and just start asking questions?
And um here's before it got to where you can't get in there, here's a going to be a picture of um the inside of the church.
How gorgeous was that?
Yeah.
And
So
I remember seeing the windows are now like destroyed.
the outside is in ruins.
Hmm.
Um it's sad.
It is.
Um,
But in the end, I did enjoy going there. I enjoyed looking around, knowing the history, taking photos, and being able to walk around the gym and trying to get any like feelings or energy. I honestly didn't feel anything. I didn't hear anything out of the
no,
normal.
I didn't feel anything either, but
I would love
um,
to just stay in a room at the school overnight and listen because they say you can hear laughter and footsteps and stuff. That would be great to hear. You know that they're not going to allow any
yeah,
such thing, especially with that
no,
cool sign that they now have.
no, they're not now. But I mean, it would be awesome to be in there.
Hmm.
Um,
But very interesting story about Father Oswald, and the body not decomposing is interesting.
it
And
is. It's a very, oh my gosh, it's how does that happen?
like the rumor of upon his death, there was that rumbling or loud noise heard in the residence nearby. And then just like how things kind of fell apart after him. Um,
Right.
Legally, the legalities of having that kind of community was definitely brought into question, but you were able to once upon a time live like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you can't. You can't just take a group of people, go set yourself up somewhere and go, we are now a town. You have to be incorporated in some way, some shape, and have a post office and stuff like that to call yourself a town.
Right.
And then you owe taxes. Then you owe
Yes.
all this other stuff. Therefore, there has to be income coming in. You can't just live off the land
But
and provide for each other.
yeah, it's sad.
But we were talking earlier about that game show or the competition.
Yeah.
I did find it. It was a TV series in 2014.
Okay. So 12 years ago.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem that long.
no,
No. Is there any way to still watch it? Just
I would watch it again.
yeah, is there any way to still just watch what they did put out there just out of curiosity? I mean,
Mhm.
that'd be kind of cool. But
You can actually see it on Prime Video and something called BritBox.
oh, interesting.
So again, it's wait, hold on a second. Yeah, 15 pioneering Americans leave their everyday lives and move to an isolated, undeveloped location for an entire year where they're challenged to create their own civilization from scratch.
So I was close on the
Yeah,
amount of people.
and it's like
Just
bringing back memories because they have I'm on IMDb
okay.
and they have pictures of some of the cast members and I'm like, "Oh, I remember that person. I remember seeing them." Yeah.
Um well, I say we close the Saint Nazian folder. I do want
Yeah.
to bring up that also on this trip we did go see the um Marybelle, Wisconsin. We saw the castle,
Yes.
the place that Al Capone ran,
Yep.
Al Capone's hideout.
Yep.
Um,
One of the many in
right.
Wisconsin.
So we should cover that sometime, the history of that.
Yeah.
Um, you
I think we
can't
should
go.
go back to it and get better pictures because it was
Yes,
storming heavy.
yeah,
So I only got like two or three photos, but like
but
from what I heard, you can get a little bit closer. And the
I.
guy that lives right next door, because it's the white picket fences are
Mhm.
around it. The owner lives like right there and
Okay,
has been very open about letting people take pictures, even getting inside the fence a little bit more and actually like going to the ruins of the
okay,
castle.
okay. Yeah, and I think we'll maybe we should look into a little more of this JFK prep. See what we can find. Um, and see maybe if there's any reports of when it was a prep school, people, any, you know, testimonials of people feeling things. You never know; they might have put it
Right.
out there. But do you want to give an update, kind of what you're working on for next month, maybe? Isn't it H.H. Holmes?
Yes, so we're gonna, since we're bringing in or we're continuing on with Creeps and Cocktails, our next topic will be on H.H. Holmes, yet another guy that I wanted to follow a little bit, just like I did for Albert
Mhm.
Fish. We're going to do this one a little bit differently. So we're going to talk about him. Hopefully, not another, was it 3 or 4 episodes like Albert Fish was? But I
Oh,
had to. That series was so long because there was
you
so much that
know,
happened.
with him, you
But
could probably go probably the same amount, just because he is. You could go into his crimes, the psychology. You could go into
right,
all of it. It's
we can get
crazy.
into theories of how some believe that he could have been Jack the Ripper. Like we can go into
Hmm.
those theories.
Oh yeah.
But the difference that we're going to do with this one is yes, we'll talk about him. Yes, we'll have a cocktail. But Nick and I are going on a little trip. I believe hopefully in February because I want to finish this one out. So we want to go on a little trip and do some footsteps of H.H. Holmes, where
Okay.
his castle was, possibly where the pharmacy was that he worked at when he was in Chicago.
Mm, yes, that's.
Well, the pharmacy ended up being the castle,
Hmm.
but how close it was in
Proximity.
proximity
Yeah,
to the World's Fair
I gotcha.
where he got a lot of his victims.
Right.
So we want to do a little walk around that area. I'll bring a photo with me of what the castle looked like on the corner and then kind of what it looks like today. So we'll do like a little side by side comparison.
Hmm.
And then we'll have a little chat about our buddy H.H. Holmes.
Sounds like an awesome um adventure. Um, I think if we get the right ones, we could do a lot of that. We could do that for a lot of them.
Yeah, probably. I mean, at least the ones in this area. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not going to go across the country following footsteps of serial killers, but I mean, you could do that for H.H. Holmes. We could also do that for John Wayne Gacy when we get to him. Or
Yes.
we can do that for Dahmer for sure. I live right in
Oh yeah.
Milwaukee. So
But
definitely something that we can look at doing later. But I definitely thought going to Chicago would be fun to find where his
okay.
castle once was.
Well, thank you for that update.
Yes.
I think we have gone on. We've stammered on long enough now. We're getting
Yeah,
close
like
to
we're
the
way over
hour.
time.
Yeah, we're way over time. So, thank you for listening to this episode of The Veil, and we hope you found it informative and interesting,
Yep.
and that you'll join us for our future episodes and topics. And to do that, be sure to subscribe to get notified when a new episode drops. We don't have a set schedule. We are trying to write quality research, and so they could drop anytime. And also, if you like this, feel free to click that like button. And questions are always welcome. We'll answer them. And we look forward to the next time.
Yep. And we'll also put this on our Facebook page, right?
Yes.
So if you follow us on Dead Squirrel in the Woods on Facebook, then you will also see when we drop new episodes because we'll share the link on there as well.